So I didn't get a chance to point out in my last video because my memory space ran out, so the video stopped on me. But when I yell at Bill Kinnear, or the broad and her boyfriend in the little piece of shit car out on Shelburne, I yell, so you work for Epstein and his lawyer Dershowitz, and you puff up and yeah, so what? Whatever bullshit comes out of your mouth. And you're puffing up and yelling at me, basically harassing me on their behalf, instead of going, huh, well, Epstein's dead. Who's Alan Dershowitz? Instead of responding like people who don't work for Epstein or Dershowitz, you basically confess that you're basically admitting that you know Epstein's still alive. The biggest majority of the people who aren't in Epstein's inner circle or working for his lawyers and partners in crime believe the son of a bitch is dead. And the fact that I'm getting all these confessions out of you idiots. I didn't point this out when I talked about getting the confession out of the broad and her boyfriend out on Shelburne Road 2 or 3 days ago. But I don't think it's a coincidence. Of course, that article was probably been worked on for a while. But I don't think it's a coincidence that they dropped the New York Times article with all this bullshit supporting Boingo Boingo and Kash Patel's bullshit about how Epstein unalived himself. I don't think that's a coincidence. They know I'm out here. The whole establishment, including the mainstream media and all their talking heads, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all of them know I'm out here getting confessions. And the idiots put these idiotic PIs that they send to get in my face and talk shit about pretending to work for Bernie Sanders or Sarah George or the new mayor Mulvaney Stanek, when they act and then turn around, or Judge Hoare, and then turn around and admit to working for Epstein, his defense attorneys, Alan Dershowitz, former Mayor Mira Weinberger, nephew to Caspar Weinberger, who was Reagan's Secretary of Defense and Nixon's Health and Welfare Secretary, who was indicted for his role in the Iran-Contra shit, where Epstein and Trump laundered all that money. And apparently Epstein played a bigger role in all that crap too, according to what few Epstein files Blanche bothered to release. When you just keep puffing up because you, by God, gotta show me my place, you're confessing to a whole lot of shit. And you're snitching out everybody. You're snitching out Epstein. You're snitching out his lawyers. That's why when I tell you you're going to end up like Epstein, it doesn't faze you. Because you know, you're like, well, he's alive. We work for him. And you've basically confessed to that, you stupid motherfuckers. So if you think that you're not going to end up floating in the river, or like Bill Hennessy and OD in your tent or your hotel room or wherever they got you, now that two of you have let the cat out of the bag that Epstein's still alive and you work for him and his lawyer Dershowitz, because you didn't push back on any of that. Neither did Burl, neither did Caton. On the bioweapons. They're going to make sure, because they don't realize that the sheriff's department and Cousy and a lot of police officers are just pretending to go along with Piper and Weinberger, and because they want to find out who all's part of this corruption. And all that shit is sealed. They don't realize And when I got those confessions out of the stupid broad and her boyfriend out on Shelburne, their surveillance captured all that, and they didn't need the flock cameras. They probably had a vehicle in one of those parking lots with a big high-powered microphone pointed right at us that got every fucking word. And the same down on Church Street. They heard me get the confession out of an admission out of Bill Kinnear the first time I cussed him out and called him a pedo who worked for Dershowitz and Epstein on Church Street and said he was going to be a dead pedo soon enough. They heard all that. They got all that on film and audio, and then they got it again at the bus. And they don't necessarily need the shit from the bus cameras. I just pointed that out because you motherfuckers don't know what surveillance they've got. But you know they've at least got that. Because you can see the damn cameras on the side of the bus. Most people don't notice them. I only know they're there because I was on the number 7 inbound, and we got into the old North End, and there was an accident in an intersection. And the driver picked up his radio and he told the supervisor, all of my cameras, all of my security cameras on the front of the bus, on the outside of the bus, just captured the accident that happened, and then told them they had him call police, but I would imagine several people were probably on the phone reporting it. And we had to sit there for a while, and then he told the supervisor to call police and let them know. I think that's why the driver told his supervisor to call police, to let police know that his cameras caught it all. And I remember another time I was getting off the bus, catty corner from North Avenue Alliance Church, and somebody was driving the wrong way, not on the wrong side of the street, but up in people's yards. And I called 911 because the bus driver couldn't go down North Avenue and drop me off because the dude was on the wrong side of the road. We didn't know if they were going to come out of the yards and hit the bus or what. So I told the driver, I'll call 911 as soon as you drop me off. Well, when I called 911, I told that officer, I said, the number 7, and I told him what the departure time was from Green Mountain Transit, and I told him the exact time. I said, there will be video footage on that, and I gave him the number of the bus too, not just the route number, but each bus has an ID number like 921 or 918, and the bigger ones have 4 digits. And that 911, I told the dispatch that all of that was captured on the bus's security video from the time they crossed over to the wrong side of the street and then went down people's yards the wrong direction on the wrong side of the street. I said they eventually jumped back into the street because once they hit that curve, like you're going as you get closer to the high school, if they didn't, they'd ended up in the Winooski River because that's a big, huge drop-off. So they had to get, back on the street lest they end up in the river. I said, but they went that whole way through people's yards, and I said, it was close to the sidewalk. I said, I don't think there's any serious damage, but yeah, you can see where the frame of the car really hit because those driveways aren't, and those yards aren't even. So, there's hills and some of them are steep, and the car hit, make a big dent in the dirt, but it's not like he whoever it was took out any mailboxes or anything, or hit anybody's house or hit their cars or anything. It was just going to be car tracks and shit in their yards close to the sidewalk. But anyway, my point is, you motherfuckers are fucking with the wrong one. My brain is quicker than I can even cognitively I'll plan something and do it and not even realize that I've done it. It's not even cognitive. And then when I got you where I want you, just like I Russell Bill Kinnear's feathers